this is Harry, and this is the 5th video of the Bridging Viewpoint series. I am currently here in Kathmandu, Nepal, and I've been here for the last month and a half. I am extremely excited to share with you this next video because my experience here has been profound. I decided to come here because I wanted to attend the Kopan November course at the Kopan Monastery, and I found out about this course when I was online Googling where can I stay at a monastery for a month, and Kopan Monastery kept popping up over and over again. So I went on the website, found this course, and decided to apply for it. And at first I thought this course was going to be extremely small. I thought I needed to shave my head and live the life of a monk and live with monks. And what actually happened was a little bit different. As you can see, I'm not bald right now. My head is not shaved. And the course was actually huge. It was a very popular course. They've been running it for over 50 years now. And my class itself had over 260 people. 260 people from all around the world. And the course itself is geared more towards Westerners. And we were actually separated from the monks studying at the monastery. But still, it was an incredible course and a great introduction into Buddhism in many different ways. So what I learned, I put a lot of thought into how I should present this information because there was just so much information that we had to consume during this course, consume and contemplate. And not everything can be explained in this short video. So what I want to do is just provide a quick introduction to the main principles that we learned that I think would be useful tools for the viewers, and for this information to act as a teaser for the viewers to go seek out more information. Because I truly believe that everybody, and I mean everybody, should go out and try to learn more about these principles and even the more philosophical tools in Buddhism, because Buddhism isn't just a religion, and it isn't just a philosophy, and it isn't just a science. It's a mixture of everything. And the really powerful thing about Buddhism is that if you didn't want to believe in certain aspects of Buddhism, they say that it's okay. Just take the tools and take the learnings about love and compassion and take the tools to control your mind and bring it with you to whatever path you choose to take, because these tools are very powerful in reshaping us to become better people. So first, I can explain to you how I absorbed the information, because it definitely wasn't easy, and you shouldn't expect it to be easy as well, because these are very big topics. You have monks studying their entire lives on these topics, trying to grasp at it, and it's not something that you can just get overnight, and I think that's the first thing to accept. A good analogy to how to approach these concepts is looking at the concepts like problems, right? When you're given a problem, you have to really sit on it, look at it from different angles, struggle with it before you can even find little paths that will lead you to the solution. And it's the same way with these concepts. So I'm going to cover probably 3 main ideas that will act as a good introduction as to what I learned and what I think is very powerful in bringing with me back in the real world, and hopefully for you to bring in the real world as well. And if you're really interested, you can dig more into it. So the first concept is the idea of impermanence. And what this means is that nothing is really permanent. Impermanent. So nothing is really permanent, so it's impermanent. And this applies to everything. So easy examples of this are a rainbow, which you take a look at and it disappears. A water bubble, you look at it and something pops, disappears. And then you have things that are probably can be seen over time, like food in your refrigerator, which has an expiration date. Eventually it's gonna go bad. You have maybe your electronic, your iPhone, that maybe in a few years goes out of date and doesn't work anymore. You have the money in your bank, which you work so hard for, you earn the money there, and then one moment it's there, one minute it's gone. And I'm really seeing that on this travel, this trip. The money that I earned going away, but I definitely think it's worth it. And then you have things that you think are more permanent, and sometimes you think are even permanent, but they actually aren't. For example, yourself. The idea of you. So for me, it would be this idea of who Harry is, right? A lot of us have this vision of ourselves when we define ourselves, that this person is who I am, and it's this stable person, this person that never changes. And then the moment we start deviating from it, we get upset with ourselves and we get disappointed with ourselves because there was deviation to that. And then you also have your partner, your significant other, right? Where you look at that person and you're like, oh, that person is supposed to be permanent, right? They're supposed to be the person that I fell in love with at the beginning, with all the good qualities that I had in the beginning, and they're supposed to be like that throughout the entire relationship. And again, you can see why a lot of people perhaps fall out of love or have relationships that end because who they thought the person was changed and they were surprised by it. So even these concepts are not permanent. And if you think about it even more, the idea of a moment is not permanent, right? You have the past, present, and future, but with every changing moment, the present moment becomes the past, and at the same time, the future becomes the present, and it's this continual cycle of changing moments, moment by moment. And it's interesting because you can then question whether I'm the same person 5 minutes from now, 10 minutes from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. And it seems like we are, because it does seem continuous. But are we really? Because things change within ourselves. Our mind changes within that time frame. We gain more knowledge, we change our perspectives, maybe we change things. Perhaps we regret things. Not only does our mind change, but our body changes too, right? Little things. Our skin continually sheds and new skin is formed. Our hair continually grows, our nails grow. Things are changing all the time, which leads to another really deep philosophical question, which is, are we the same person every moment? Or are we continually changing, and then are we the same person? And this is something that I'm not going to touch on in this video, but it's a very interesting idea. So that's the idea of impermanence. And what Buddhism is trying to teach here is to not grasp at things as if they are permanent, but to just accept things as impermanent, and that things are continually changing, and that's the natural way, and that's okay. It's okay for things to continually change. Things are never the same at all times. Nothing's ever permanent. And this also applies to death, right? We all wish we can live a long, happy, healthy life, but this isn't always the case. Things happen in our lives where some people die unexpectedly. At any age, death can come at us at any point in our lives. And the concept here is to not grasp at many things in life that you believe are permanent, such as yourself and other things, but to accept that it's impermanent and see that and accept that, and accept the fact that death will come at any time, and to really just appreciate and live life to the fullest in the present moment. And what Buddhism says is live life to the fullest by doing the most good possible within your life, to show as much love and compassion and help others as much as possible. And I'll touch on this a little bit later after linking a few of these concepts together. So that's impermanence. The second thing is emptiness, and this concept is huge. It's absolutely huge and takes so much time to think about, and all these concepts take a lot to think about, but this one is especially huge, and I probably only scratched the surface of it. So what I'm going to share with you is just surface level information. There's so much more if you want to dig into it and really understand it and contemplate it, and then the even harder part, apply it to your life, because that's so difficult. One thing to see first that would be helpful to understand this concept is that human perception is very limited. We're limited by our five senses, right? Sight, smell, sound, touch, taste. Five senses. And then we're limited by the way that we were taught to view the world. So our past experiences, what we were taught. And then we're limited by our angle of perception as well, what we can see within our, I guess, view, our eyes, whatever we can see from whatever angle it is. So we're limited in that sense. And then, if you think about it, we're limited also because if you think about what you're doing now, you're watching this video and you're listening to me talk, and this is only one thing that's happening in a million other things that are happening at the same moment. Think about everything that's happening within your room, everything that's happening within your house, everything that's happening within your neighborhood, your city, the world. Like, this is just one little point, one little interaction that's going on. So what we really see and what we actually know is so limited in that sense. And if you can see that, then you can see that the reality that we create within, I guess, our senses and everything that we see, that we create, is very limited and actually very different from person to person in how we see the world. And what we create, this reality that we create, is what Buddhism calls conventional reality. It's what we form in our minds based on our senses and our experiences and how we choose to view the world and the angle and everything like that. And this is different per person. For example, you can have two people looking at the exact same object, right? Say this water bottle, for example. You can have person A on this side, person B on this side, and what they perceive can be completely different, even though they're looking at the same thing. Person A may see that, okay, this is a blue bottle that has, this cap, and it's Harry's bottle, and it is a really cool looking bottle. Person B, on the other hand, may look at this and may hate the color blue and be like, oh, that's an ugly water bottle. Where did he get that? Why are there so many scratches? And what is this logo on the side right here? And, I don't like this bottle at all. So two people looking at the same thing can see completely different things based on their perception. So their convention and realities, in a sense, is very different. And if you accept this fact that there's this reality that we all create and that it's different per person, then you can accept that there can be potentially a absolute reality, right? Buddhism calls this absolute, whatever is out there, absolute reality. And what they say about this absolute reality is that it is empty. And what they mean by this is that absolute reality is just what it is. It's empty. But what we do in our conventional reality with all our senses and everything is we start adding things unconsciously and consciously onto this empty absolute reality. We unconsciously, maybe with our senses, we add color, shape, form, feel, all this stuff to it. And then in addition to that, our mind and our experiences then starts adding additional decorations and additional stories to these things. Like, that water bottle is Harry's water bottle, and it is probably filled with water, and he bought it from Costco, and you know, all these different stories that you can put on it. And we do this within conventional reality. But in absolute reality, whatever that is empty, and it isn't as we perceive it. It's completely different from how we perceive it. So in a sense, this is the concept of emptiness. And a good analogy to this is, take the Apple Watch or a smartwatch, right? It has certain sensors on it that allow it to grasp a sense of what reality is. And say you're hiking up Mount Everest with your Apple Watch or your smartwatch. What it tries to do is track your distance traveled in the X direction, the Y direction, even upward in the Z direction, and your angle and your heart rate, everything. It tries to get a grasp of what reality really is. And it creates this map, right? But that map that it creates is different from what you see with your sensors. What you see is Mount Everest. You see the snow, you see the beautiful scenery around you, you see you climbing up these rocks, you see and feel the wind, you feel the altitude, you get a sense of, your sensors give you a sense of what that reality is, and it is completely different from the reality that the Apple Watch sees, correct? And in that same way, what you see is completely different from what potentially absolute reality can be. What you see is probably only a small piece of what absolute reality is. And what absolute reality is probably also empty, and you're in a way adding all these different things to it: shape, form, feeling, story. So that would be an analogy to it. And the reason why this is so powerful is because this concept of emptiness can really help cultivate compassion. It can help one learn how to feel, grow, and even give compassion to others. And you can see this through an example I'll give about the self-grasping I. So Buddhism has this concept of the self-grasping I, similar to kind of what we talked about earlier. In my mind, in my conventional reality, I have this version of Harry that I've created, a version of Harry who I think I am, based on, you know, who I think I am, who I want to be, and everything put together, right? And in your mind, you also have this version of Harry that is created based on our interactions together. Based on our interaction together, you have this version of Harry that's created in your mind that is in no way close to the Harry that I've created in my mind, and the Harry that I've created in my mind is in no way close to the Harry in absolute reality, right? And where this can help grow compassion is realizing that things aren't as we perceive them to be, and that there is a much bigger story to the reality that we've created in our minds. So say someone comes and insults me, right? Someone comes and says I'm mean and insults me, and I get offended by it. I'm like, oh, why is that person thinking I'm mean? I don't like them anymore because they think I'm mean. But if I stop to think about why they think I'm mean, they probably think I'm mean because the Harry that they've created in their mind is actually mean. Maybe from the little interactions that we had together, or maybe of something that I've done that I didn't even know of, but they knew of. So they kind of locked that in and created a Harry of a mean Harry. And the person that they're really insulting is that mean Harry, because that mean Harry was actually mean, right, in their minds. But I think they're insulting the Harry that I've created in my mind, who I think I am, and that's why I'm offended, because I think they're insulting this Harry when they're actually insulting that Harry. But then even if they insult that Harry, which isn't this Harry, even this Harry that I've created in my conventionality isn't a good grasp of who absolute Harry is, right? So seeing that is very powerful, in that you learn how to not grasp onto this I that you've created for yourself, right? Because that I isn't even you. It's this version of you that you think you are, but it isn't actually a capture of who you are. It's just who you think you are. And this is very powerful to learn, because that version of yourself can be good, it can be bad, it can be horrible, it can make you really sad, make you happy, but know that that's not really you, and that you actually change with time, and that that's not actually you, and you can actually shape who you want to be, because you just change the label, right? And you can change that. So in addition to that powerful part there, you can also grow compassion for others, in that you don't immediately judge them and put them into a box, right? If you see someone doing something mean, if you see someone doing something you don't like, whatever it is, don't immediately put them in the boxes that they're that type of person. But realize that that interaction, that thing you're only seeing, is a small part of what the actual picture is. That person that you create in your mind is in no way a good representation of who that person feels like they are in their mind, and that in no way is a good representation of who they actually are in absolute reality, right? So not only can you, with this concept of emptiness, can you learn to grow compassion for yourself, but you can grow compassion for others, in the sense that understanding that there's a bigger story out there with everything, and that, you know, don't immediately judge and put people in boxes. Try to understand the full story. And if you do have conflicts with people, then approach them and try to clarify things, so that you guys better understand each other and get a better picture of what the story really is. Understand who they think they really are, and for them to understand who you think you really are. Hopefully you guys, and that can hopefully, you know, help resolve the situation. So this concept, that is just a taste of how powerful emptiness is. There's so much more to contemplate on and think about, and how you can apply it in your life. But that's just a quick example. And I don't want to drag this out any longer, but those are really powerful topics. But I want to talk more about a few other ideas and how they all link together. So if you think about this idea of impermanence and this idea of emptiness, then you see that, oh, things are always changing, and that things aren't as they appear, and that you can actually change a lot of things that you see in this reality, and you can actually change your reality, which is true. Why don't I just do whatever I want? Why don't I create harm to people? Why don't I steal? Why don't I do all this stuff? And the Buddhist idea to kind of help direct this is the idea of reincarnation and karma. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. These are both very, you know, out there topics, but the idea of reincarnation, I think, will take a lot longer to explain, so put that on the shelf. But even before then, I would say, in the world of possibilities, right, of what happens after death, it's hard for anyone to disprove anybody, in that anything can be potentially true, and in order to really disprove someone, you need proof of dying and then coming back alive, and really realizing that, and somehow be able to then prove it to everyone else that what reality is. And if you did find the proof, then that's good. But in the realm of possibility now, of people not knowing what happens after death, then the idea of reincarnation and karma could be possibility, right? I'm not saying that I fully believe it, but it could be possibility, and I'm putting it on the shelf, and I'll chew on it, I'll continue to chew on it. But reincarnations, put that on there. Karma. I think this is a very interesting topic, because what it does is it puts the responsibility onto the individual, onto you, onto me, in that everything we do will come back to us in a way. It's sort of like cause and effect, right? Every action that we do will have an effect that will only affect us. And what they say about karma is that it's a universal law. It's like gravity, where it's something that just happens passively, in a way, right? Cause and effect is something that happens passively. You throw something up in the air, it's gonna fall down into your hands, right? You you take a step, you get a step further. So there's a lot of cause and effect things that happen in here that you can truly see. But what Buddhism says is that there are also effects from causes that can occur not immediately, but it can occur maybe after a period of time, maybe after a lifetime, after several lifetimes, after multiple lifetimes. But the effect is always going to be there, and it can grow. And it's this concept that this effect that occurs doesn't necessarily need to be immediately after the cause, and this effect that occurs doesn't necessarily need to be something that we can grasp within our senses, right? it can just be an effect of whatever cause is created. And the reason why this is strong is because, one, it puts the responsibility on me and you, in that whatever virtuous actions we take and whatever non-virtuous actions we take will have the appropriate effects, right? The good things that happen to us in life, the bad things that happen to us in life. And these effects occur when the right causes and conditions occur. So say you do something and maybe you don't see the effect right away. You're like, oh, that's kind of nice. I do something and, nothing really happens, so I continue doing it. But it's just that effect hasn't ripened to the point where it comes out and affects you, right? And there's so much around karma that needs to be explained and can further be dove into. But the concept is just responsibility is onto you, and that whatever virtuous actions you do will have virtuous effects, non-virtuous will have non-virtuous effects, type of thing. And we can't fully grasp what the effect is, but that's what it is, cause and effect. And this essentially is a way to direct us to do virtuous actions in our impermanent lives that will eventually end in our conventional reality. And the reason why this is powerful is because Buddhism emphasizes love and compassion, and that is one of the main emphasis. We'll talk. Rubina in the interview will talk a little bit about this, but love and compassion is huge in Buddhism. And if there's anything you want to take away from Buddhism, just give love and compassion to people, and you're good to go, right? But the reason why they talk about all these different things that I talked about is because they want you to spread love and compassion by doing virtuous actions to people in this impermanent life, right? Because we do, even though we can't see or get a grasp of what absolute reality is, we still live in this conventional reality where we create a reality based on what we can see around us. And if we are showing love and compassion to others and we're not grasping the eye but instead working for the happiness of others, then what you can do is then affect another person's sense of reality, right? You can completely change their reality from a bad one to a good one because you show them love and compassion. And from there, that person's sense of reality then becomes good as well. And then it creates a rippling effect. Like, you guys continue to have a rippling effect across multiple people, across tons of people, a lot of people, and change their realities into something that's good, because that's your goal. You're trying to show love and compassion, and you change those realities and shift reality, their view of reality, conventional reality, to something that's good. And if you continue doing that, then everybody gets a really good sense. Everybody then lives a conventional reality that is then filled with love and compassion, right? Which is much better than anybody living in a reality that is so painful, so hurtful, in which they're suffering every day. And that is the main idea behind why we should show love and compassion, because we affect the realities, the conventional realities of people around us. And if we continue to grasp the eye and see that this is permanent and this is the most important thing, then we continue to chase after feeding this sense of I that isn't even a true grasp of who you are. It's just who you label yourself to be. It's not a true grasp of who you are. You continue feeding this. And sometimes by feeding this in a selfish way, you start harming others and you start affecting the realities of others, so that by feeding and trying to make yourself happy temporarily, you harm others and really convert their reality from even something positive to something negative and make them suffer. And again, that becomes a rippling effect outwards. So why create conventional realities for everyone that is harmful when you can work to do it, to shift everyone's reality to something that is positive, and everyone will just be in a better place if that's the case, right? Everybody have a better reality. But that's not the case that we have in current reality, right? Everybody's trying to grasp the eye. So this is, again, why I think it's so powerful for people to just take a look at the philosophies that are being taught. I'm not saying I'm a Buddhist right now, but I think the philosophies are very interesting, and things that I do see are very powerful, and things that I can apply to my life, at least to show love and compassion to others, right? I don't need to believe the whole thing right now. I can chew on this stuff later, but these principles are very powerful and things that I personally agree with. And sorry if I'm trying to impose anything. I'm not at all. If you don't want to believe this, you don't have to believe it. You need to make sure it resonates with you and that it makes sense for you, right? And that everything makes sense for you. All I'm trying to do is share something that I feel like is very powerful in a way that hopefully makes it easy for you to understand, so that you can also understand these concepts and spread love and happiness to others, right? And if you don't understand it, then I'm not doing a good job. Message me and I'll try to clarify things so that you can better understand it. But anyways, this is all I'm going to talk about for this introduction to what I learned within this 1 month course. There's so much more and so much more my mind's thinking about dreams and everything like that, but that'll come later. I won't talk about it in the videos, but that will come from me later. I'm going to dig more into it. But this is a good introduction for you to at least get a sense of the ideas and philosophies, even the psychology that's being taught, and how learning about this can really shape and change your life to become a better person. So again, I hope you enjoy this video. I know it was very long, but I hope it was clear and helpful to you. Let's jump to the next section, which is the project breakdown video. And for that video, Venerable Rubina, who is a Buddhist nun, will share her project, which is Love and Compassion. I hope you enjoy.